Hey everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. My largest PSA submission from 2020 is finally back. That's right, I submitted these Pokemon cards for grading over a year ago and they're finally back. This is my largest PSA submission from 2020 and there's a ton of really cool cards in here. All of these cards are honestly probably really valuable right now. Can't wait to crack it open. This is going to be a super fun video. I'm usually super organized with my grading submissions, but this one is really disorganized. I have all kinds of different Pokemon cards inside of this submission. Japanese Pokemon cards, vintage, modern, it's all over the place. And that just really showcased what a time period late 2020 was. Back in those days, you were just submitting cards whatever you had because pretty much everything was valuable. Once it became graded, there was a real high demand for graded Pokemon cards and the market didn't have the capacity to really handle it. It took a long time for the market to really catch up. We have plenty of graded Pokemon cards nowadays, and I'm gonna try my best to go over this grading submission. There's a ton of cards. I don't know what the grades are yet, so we're gonna be reacting to them together. Let's just start off right at the top. First up, looks like we got ourselves some Japanese Pokemon cards. Super common when it comes to my grading submission. First up, we got ourselves a 2009 Japanese promo, the Pikachu M Level X. I was missing this PSA 10 from my personal collection and I really like this card. I think it's actually a little bit underrated. A big part of it is just I love the hollow pattern on this card. It's super cool. I'm glad to have it inside of my collection, even at a PSA 8. I'll be honest, I don't really see any issues with it, so I'm actually pretty surprised it got a PSA 8. I don't even see any whitening on the back at all, and the centering looks pretty solid. I thought this card had a good shot at being a PSA 10, but you just never know. It's definitely worth the risk. I'm fine with an 8. That's a nice quality card. Next up, we got ourselves a Shibuya Pikachu PSA 8. Nice bread and butter. I love myself some Japanese Pikachu promo cards. Got a ton of these inside of my collection. They're really fantastic. Here we have a PSA 10. This is where you really see the value start to rack up. People are really clamoring to get a lot of these Pikachu promos nowadays in a PSA 10. Would you believe I bought this card ungraded for $3 back in 2019? Now you're looking at over $200 for a PSA 10. Talk about how insane of a gain that is. People talk all the time about like things like NFT and Bitcoin, but like look at the return from a $3 card to an over like $200 card. It's so insane. Even a PSA 8, like that would be considered hot garbage a couple of years ago, but people are clamoring so much to get these cards that even in a PSA 8, it's a quality card, and I don't disagree with it. PSA 10s are so expensive nowadays, and the 8s are as good as the 10, I'll be honest. If you compare the quality of these two cards, it's really unlikely for you to even tell the difference between these two cards. The difference between the 8 and the 10s are so low, it's unlikely any collector that will look at it can really tell the difference from their naked eyes alone. You might have to really stare at it and identify small differences in the borders and edges and whatnot, but the differences are really tiny. So if you are a budget collector, and there's a ton of budget collectors out there because graded Pokemon cards are just so expensive nowadays, the value on the screen is probably just racking up right now. And honestly, the 9s and 8s are so affordable compared to the 10s that if you're not picky about your Pokemon cards and you don't demand perfection, because the differences between a 9 and a 10 are so minuscule, it's unlikely for you to even notice the difference between a 9 and a 10, that you might as well just pick up the 9 and save yourself hundreds of dollars if that's your goal as a collector, because you can significantly increase the amount of quality of your cards or quantity if you're able to just be willing to go off from a 10. Now this card, wow, an 8 is okay, but a 5 is pretty bad. This card is pretty much valued the same as an ungraded Pokemon card right now. So this is one of those scenarios where this card, we probably completely broke even. I have plenty of PSA 10 Reds Pikachu inside of my collection. This is the last batch of Reds Pikachu that I submitted for submission. And back in 2020, you were pretty much submitting whatever cards you had regardless of condition, because this card, if I got it back at an 8, a 9, or 10, it was just value added to my collection. Even if I don't plan on reselling these cards, it just increases the value of my collection. The difference between a 5 and a 6 is nothing at all. People still want these cards. That's the thing. If I were to put this card on the market, I think it would sell within a day really easily at market value. There's absolutely no issue with selling even a 6. A lot of people just underappreciate some of the lower grades, and I just don't understand that. I think they're fantastic. Kanazawa Pikachu. This card is actually my favorite card from 2020. Of all cards released from 2020, Kanazawa Pikachu is my favorite. I did a rating of the top 50 cards from 2020, and Kanazawa Pikachu was in the top 10. I don't think it was number 1 for a bunch of different other factors, but in my personal opinion, this is my favorite card from 2020. The artwork on it is just fan-freaking-tastic. Check that out. The amount of details inside of this artwork. It's an adorable Pikachu card. The holo pattern's fantastic. There's so much vibrant colors in the design. It's such a quality card. Huge fan of it. Great promo card, and this is my first PSA 10, so that one's going inside of my personal collection. And here we have a PSA 9. Like I said, if you're a budget collector, the 9s are your go-to. They're just so much cheaper than the 10, but you still get that full display ability. No one's going to bat an eye against a 9. We got ourselves a duplicate 10. That's completely fine. If there's a card that I really want, I submit multiple copies of it just so that I can have the slim chance of getting myself at least 110. And if I have extra 10s, that's great. Those are great for trading with other collectors, getting pieces that I'm missing from my collection. If someone else has a Pikachu promo that I want, this card is great for me to just trade. I bought this card ungraded for $10, guys. $10. You can't find copies like these anymore for $10. I'll be honest. Back in 2020, that was some really underappreciated cards. So yeah, love myself some Pikachu promos. We're definitely going to get into some English promos soon, but I think the first batch is pretty much all Japanese. And we have the second one. This is the other version of the Kanazawa Pikachu. This one came inside of the Kanazawa Pikachu box. It's significantly more expensive. Even in a PSA 9, this card is just quality. This is going to be a display copy for me because I don't really mind a 9. So yeah, this one is going right into my display case, and which means the other two cards in this batch are going to be the Milotic and the Sobble, which also came inside of the Kanazawa Pikachu box. Really cool as well. All have the same fantastic artistic ball design. Love all of these, and this is going to be a nice trio to display together. Yeah, they look fantastic. Lovely. That was box number 1. Moving on to the second box. Let's see what our second batch of grading submission gives us today. I'm pretty excited. Those were some really quality cards. They're only going to really get better. So here's hoping. Moving on to the next card, we got ourselves a PSA 9 special delivery Pikachu. What a time end of 2020 was when the Pokemon Center released this promo card for free. All you had to do was spend $25 inside of the Pokemon Center website for North America, which includes the United States and Canada, and you would get a free copy of this special delivery Pikachu added to your order. This card is currently valued at $150, and they gave it away for free inside of every order. I can totally understand why this card got a 9. The centering on it, pretty bad. But back in those days, I was submitting this card regardless of what condition it got. So a 9, completely fine with that. Moving on. Oh, whoa, did not expect to see this in here. This is completely out of order, but sure, I'll take it. We got ourselves the 2007 10th anniversary movie promo. The movie was featuring Darkrai, I believe. And this is Mewtwo. Mewtwo Strikes Back, I believe, is the name of this card. Really cool card. PSA 10, probably valued at around $200. This was one of those cards that I said was really underrated because you could have picked up copies of this card ungraded for $10. And I mean, it's valued at $200 in a PSA 10, so that's really cool. And wow, this is getting all kinds of weird. We got ourselves the 2020 Eevee on the ball card. This is a unique United Kingdom promo card for the futsal hobby that was going on in the UK. And yeah, this card was going for around $20 when it was officially released. And I think like this card probably is going for like $80 or $90 now. Really crazy, even in the PSA 9. So some of the value jumped. And here we have it. One of the most commonly graded Pokemon cards of current era. The 2020 Champions Path Elite Trainer Box Promo Charizard V in a PSA 10. This card is currently the most common card being graded at PSA for Pokemon. It's insane how many copies of this card is currently graded. I think like 20 or 30,000 PSA copies of these exist, and they make up a huge large chunk of modern promos right now. Still a really cool card, and I usually don't grade Charizard card, but I had these for free inside of my Champions Path Elite Trainer box. I opened up a lot of Champions Path Elite Trainer box. It was such an exciting set, even though it was so tiny. Everyone was so hyped for Champions Path because we had the shiny Charizard V inside of that set, and everyone was going crazy trying to find Champions Path Elite Trainer box, even though the set only had like 60 Pokemon cards and there were so many duplicates. You were pulling so many Machamps again and again. The set was actually like renamed Machamps Path because you saw so many Machamps inside of your pack opening. It was hilarious. Me and my friends gathered around, and I think like there were like 8 of us, and we opened up around 15 Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes together. It was such a fun party, and we pulled ourselves 3 of the Charizard Chase. I think we pulled 2 shiny Charizard V and 1 of the Rainbow Rare Charizard V Max, and it was so much fun. That was like the peak of the hobby for me. It was a blast to have a pack opening party and just opening up Champions Path again and again and again. It is really boring. I think Frosted Caribou did a stream, like an 8-hour stream, where she opened up Champions Path, and she complained about how painful it was because it is a really boring set, but it is significantly more fun if you open up with friends. Turns out having friends make a lot of difference. And now we're moving on to Back to Special Delivery Pikachu PSA 9. Already talked plenty about this card. A $20 card, now going for like $150. This card at release was pretty affordable at its low point, but then it shot up in price so quickly, and that really just came down to how hyped it was. There was just so much hype in the hobby back in 2020 for a bunch of reasons, you know. People say like it's Logan Paul, content creators, all kinds of different stuff, but yeah, it was really crazy. A bunch of people just decided Pokemon collecting was cool again, and it's really hard to find Pokemon cards back in 2020 because it was middle of the pandemic. There were so many supply issues. Printing factories were shut down for months. Things are finally caught up. It's actually really affordable to pick up Pokemon cards nowadays. You can find most prior sets for under MSRPs really easily. Even I remember when Shiny Star V came out, people were going crazy over that set. The 2020 holiday set for Japan, and the amazing rare cards too. I really was just flipping any card I could find that I thought would be valuable inside of this grading submission. These are what we call tag-along cards because I had to submit a minimum number of cards for my order, and once I reached that minimum, these cards became super affordable to submit because it was just $10 per card to send these off for grading. And whoa, here we have a huge hit. We have the full art Marnie from Shiny Star V in a PSA 10. This card is quality. This is like a $600 card right now. It used to be like a $1,000 card for a PSA 10, but of course they reprinted Shiny Star V and the prices have dropped significantly. But this card is like the chase card for Shiny Star V, which is insane because Shiny Star V actually has a Charizard chase, and somehow Marnie beat out. Charizard. It is a really cool card. I am a full art trainer collector now, so this card, PSA 10, easily going to go inside of my personal collection. That's a super cool card. Really happy to get it. Final Japanese card, we have the Eternatus V Max Gold Rare in a PSA 10 as well. Surprisingly, every card from Shiny Star V came back in the PSA 10. Just shows you how quality the Japanese print runs really are. Really quality return so far. I'm loving this, and we're moving on to the final batch of grading submissions. Really happy with these. I haven't seen these cards for 14, 15 months, something like that. It's pretty insane how long ago this grading submission was. I'm really happy to finally get these cards back and just see the full return on my investment. You know, having these cards be away for 14 months is really stressful for anyone, because that's pretty much value that you can't really touch. So I tell people how risky it is to sometimes grade your cards, because you got to understand it's a long-term story. You really can't afford to touch them for a long period of time. So if you need those cards inside of your collection immediately for any reason, you're just not going to be able to do it. Ooh, yeah, the 10th anniversary promo. I believe this is all of the other ones. You have, I think, 12 cards inside of the 10th anniversary promo. They're all really, really cool. PSA 9, PSA 10s are all really great. PSA 9s usually go for around $100. And like I said, this was a great pickup. I was telling people how underrated this set was back in 2020, and a big part of that was because these cards were going for $10, and if you grade them, they go up to like $100 to $200 because no one really graded these specific promos. So yeah, really underrated. The Darkrai being a PSA 5, that actually kind of hurts, but that doesn't really surprise me. The Darkrai did not actually came with the other cards. You got this card from the movies, so a lot of times people would hold them in their hands and they would get scratches, dents really easily. So the Darkrai is usually the lowest quality one. The Darkrai is probably one of the harder ones to find in a PSA 10. So that one being a PSA 5 doesn't surprise me. Hopefully none of the other ones are as bad. We move on to the Manaphy PSA 10. Fantastic. Easy $200 all day long. Let's keep this going. I want to get that value train just racking it up. Lucario in a PSA 10, 10th anniversary promo, 15 years ago, guys. Really cool quality, middle era of Pokemon. Not super vintage, but also at the same time, not really modern as well. The Mew in a PSA 10, that is super cool. I'm just going to value all of these probably at $200. There's probably a little bit of difference in them. The Mew is probably a little bit more desirable. It might be able to go to as much as like $250, but no big deal. We got ourselves the Deoxys in a PSA 9. Totally fine with that. So how they pick the legendary Pokemon for all of these promos for the 10th anniversary promo was that all of these Pokemon all had features in their own movie. So that's the reasons why these specific legendaries were all picked. We got ourselves the Jirachi. I definitely remember this movie. That was a good one. PSA 10. Really, really great. Let's keep this train going. These cards are really where the value is at, because I was spending, you know, $10 to purchase these cards. Grading them cost me an additional $10. So really, you're looking at a huge value increase for a lot of these cards. I might say I spent $20. Let's just say I spent $20 on these cards just to make it a little bit easier on the math. We got ourselves the Latias in a PSA 9. That's unfortunate that the Latios is in a 10 and the Latias is in a 9. I would prefer them both being in the same grade just to make it a little bit more even. We got ourselves the Celebi in a 10, which means the big kahuna, the most important one, is the next one up because it's the only one we haven't seen yet. This one would be the Lugia card, most likely. And yes, it is the Lugia in a PSA 10. The Lugia is by far the most in demand or valuable of all the 10th anniversary promo, and this card in a PSA 10 is probably going for around $350 to $400. It is by far the most attractive of all the 10th anniversary promo, and honestly happy with all of these results. I spent probably around $200 to $300 on this whole entire 10th anniversary promo set, and the total value of these cards after they've been graded, I'm probably looking at well over $2,000 added to my collection. So really heavy investment, and at the same time great return. These cards I'm all gonna frame together and they're gonna look really great on display. It's gonna be a great addition to my collection. Wow, tell me those do not look great. These are some of my favorite addition to my collection from this PSA submission. Super happy with the results of these grading submissions. We got a ton of 10s, we got a ton of 9s, so all really solid quality. And yeah, I'm really happy with the result. It took 14 months for these to finally return, but it was totally worth it. I was really scrambling back in late 2020 trying to submit whatever cards I had, just because I knew PSA was shutting down pretty darn soon, because people were submitting a million Pokemon cards to PSA every single month and they just couldn't handle the backlog. So yeah, super happy with the results. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the insight, and I will see you guys next time.